The insurance doctor will see you now. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. This is where ordinary entrepreneurs come for inspiration and education to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes until the job gets done. Look, when I made the leap from corporate America to running my own business, I had a wife, 5 kids, a mortgage, and they all wanted to eat and sleep in warm beds. I didn't have the luxury of hitting rock bottom while I found myself on my buddy's couch or in somebody's basement or going back home. Oh no. I had to put food on the table, a lot of food on the table, every single day, every week, every month. This is the no hype, cut to the chase material, ideas, and training I wish I had when I started down my entrepreneurial journey. This is one of the premier sales, marketing, and entrepreneurial programs available, and it's free. Make sure to stay up to date on everything I'm working on, along with additional content I don't have time to share on the podcast by signing up for the Weekly Whisper at weeklywhisper.com. If you're curious about where to start when it comes to taking control of your sales and marketing is just selling in print, you can get my sales agenda to use in your everyday sales life at thesalesagenda.com. Finally, get the on-demand help you need to grow your sales at 30daysalesgrowth.com. Enter the promo code podcast to save a few bucks on your order. If you have any questions on ways I might be able to help you here with my team at The Sales Whisperer, feel free to email me, wes@thesaleswhisperer.com. That is my actual email address. Now on to the show. Fortunately, it has been a while since we've had technical difficulty, but we did get some on this. Mic was kind of hot. We had to tone it down a bit. The volume may be a little bit lower, but we did this to try to save your ears, so you may have to turn it up a bit. So apologies ahead of time for that. It's still great content. Mike Stromsoe, my insurance doc, fellow SoCal resident. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How are you?
Good, Wes. How are you? Thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor.
Hey, I am glad that you found the doctor's lab coat, because I told you. I mean, it was that or a nurse's outfit. So I know you had to scramble, but you came through.
Thank you. Well, like I told you, I could find the doctor's outfit. The other one had blood and everything on it. And the most recent surgery, these people were a mess. So and once we dug in, they started bleeding quite a bit, and I didn't want to bring that to your crowd. So
that's awesome. Hey, let's do a quick sound check. I'm getting a little static. I don't know, like if when you're close, it's a little staticky. So do you know, is there anything electronic in the way?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be okay.
Is that better?
Yep. So
yeah, I get a little excited and passionate. So I know that when my voice ramps up, it tends to send the technology a different direction.
All right. Well, you are not a doctor. Is that correct? Is that a safe assumption?
Well, halfway.
Did you stay at a Holiday Inn Express?
I did not.
And that made you an expert? So the reason I wanted to have you on is you're a great guy, but you're a great marketer. So would you mind telling everybody in a quick minute or two kind of who you are and what you do, and we'll kind of dive down the rabbit hole?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'm a husband. I'm a father. We have 6 kids. We have 10 grandkids, so I'm a grandpa. That's first and foremost.
Only 6 kids?
Huh?
Only 6 kids?
Yeah, only 6.
All right. I got 7, so that's all right.
But that's why I do what I do. And I've got a bigger why than that, but it's more than 2 minutes.
How many grandkids?
10.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's never a dull moment. And they're always asking for lots of prescriptions as well. They have to earn the right to get them, though. I don't hand them out carte blanche. So anyway, I started when I was 12 in business. My dad was in the restaurant business in Northern California. And I went to him and I said, "Hey, Dad, I wonder if you would hire me." He said, "I'll hire you under one condition." I said, "What is that?" He goes, "You've got to work harder than everybody else here. If you don't, I'm going to fire you. And I just want you to be aware of that." He said, "Hard work's where it's at." I said, "I'm in." So that was the early 1970s. So I was working hard. I was 12 years old. I had money in my pocket and freedom. So that was the first, prescription that I got of the results of hard work. It was awesome. So, I learned to work hard at a very young age. I was in the produce business out of school. I was in the restaurant business after that. and then I started a family, and I didn't see much of my family, so I got into the insurance business, and that was about 28 years ago. So
Wow.
I spent about 11 years working for my dad, and I left him, and I said, hey, I want bigger, better, and I left him and went out on my own, started from scratch, and that was approximately 16 years ago, and here we are today.
So your dad, he was in the restaurant business, and then he got in the insurance business?
He was in the restaurant business in Northern California. He had a partner, and that didn't work out.
Gotcha.
He told me, don't ever go into a partnership, Mike. It's you. Depending on yourself. So
I wish I had spoken to your dad earlier, but I now agree with your dad, but only after learning that a few times the hard way.
Yeah. So anyway, today I get to lead an independent insurance agency. Shortly after I went out on my own, I found marketing, and I realized that marketing is where it is at. I started collecting testimonials. I created a written guarantee. I created a referral program. Sometime after that, after we started growing and things started happening, I found brand personas is where it's at. I now believe, as far from a marketing standpoint, that you never want to swim in the ocean of sameness. You don't want to be like anybody else out there. Look at what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite.
Right.
So that's why I do what I do. One of my brand personas is I'm the insurance doc. We write prescriptions for insurance coverage illnesses and insurance rate pains. So that's what we do. I've got my car wrapped, and we've got the whole branding persona created. We continue to develop that. It's really, Wes, just a lot of fun. I mean,
right.
And after the last 28 years, I've developed a philosophy, and this philosophy really is a simple 3-step blueprint. And I hope this will help anybody that's listening to this with their own business, because really, this is where it's at. It's called the 3 Ps: people, processes, and promotion, in that order. I remember one of the first times that I met you, we were talking about business because you and I both love to talk about it, right? And help people grow it.
Right.
And, in that conversation, I'll never forget it. I asked you, I said, hey, so, what's your thoughts on the real core of building a world-class business? And you told me at that point, you said, it's the people. It's your people. You've got to have world-class people on board. And I want to thank you for that, because that's been something that I continue to work towards, is having a world-class team. So you've got to have people, great, excellent people on board. And once you have great, excellent people on board, and don't forget to hire slow, fire fast. Things change.
Yep.
Once you have great world-class people on board, then you simply have to install great processes and systems that these excellent people can work within. So you got people working in world-class systems and processes, and you just promote the heck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a simple formula that anybody can do to grow their business, create financial security, and have more freedom.
Yep. Well, I love the fact that you are in an industry that is typically poo-pooed, right?
Right.
The dreaded insurance agent knocking on your door, but you're having fun with it, and you're building a business in an industry that anybody, or everybody can say, oh, that's a terrible business. I would never want to do that. But here you are having fun and building it. So, I wanted to get into kind of the nitty gritty. How did you come about to implement promotions and personas? Because, nobody wants to be average and ordinary, right? But nobody wants to take the time to be exceptional, right? And put themselves out there. The old adage, the nail that's sticking up or whatever is the one that gets hammered.
Right.
But you have to do that, right? So how did you, because I know you weren't raised this way, right? I got to imagine just using industry averages and the norm, and people our father's age were very conservative by the book. I can imagine your dad just wearing a suit, maybe even a 3-piece suit, having a leather briefcase, right? And just doing things very cookie cutter, right? And then here comes this crazy son saying, I'm going to be an insurance doctor. So can you walk us through, 3-piece suits and leather briefcases, and bam, becoming an insurance doctor?
I can, and I've got a great story behind what you just said as well. So, back in the 90s, after I went out on my own, I was looking for a way that I was going to grow the business. I had nothing.
Right.
I started from zero. So I found marketing, and I started collecting testimonials, did a guarantee, and the business started to grow. I remember when I started building social proof, meaning the testimonials and other forms, and that written guarantee into our proposals, our hit ratio went up 31%.
Okay.
So that was...
So stop right there. How'd you figure that out? I want to know about... So this is the early or late 90s, right? Or when is this?
Yeah, late 90s.
So were you online even yet?
Yeah, I don't know if we had a website. I think we had email.
Okay. And cause that's when I started getting online, but I was still in the Air Force.
Right.
But so walk me through this whole written guarantee. So I don't want to leave any stone unturned, because that seems very radical for insurance, and I've never even heard of that.
Well, I just happen to have a couple forms here I'll share with you. So, but to answer your question at the core, it was about that time in my life that it hit me like a ton of bricks out of left field. The light bulb went on, right? I'm sitting there studying all this stuff from other awesome people out there in the marketing world, in the business world, both, all of the above, who knew a lot more than I did.
And these weren't necessarily insurance agents. They were just other business people.
I have learned more from people outside of our industry by far than anybody inside of our industry. People like you, about automated marketing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I could go on and on. So I started studying these people, and it hit me one day. It said, I'm just going to start listening to them. They know more than I do about all of this. And I kind of gave myself permission. And I remember when it happened, I was 38 years old. I said, I'm going to start listening to people who know more than I do, and I'm just going to run with it. I'm going to implement. I'm going to take action. And since the day that I made that decision, I've never looked back. Life could not be better.
Very cool. So, all right. So you have an insurance guarantee.
So we have over 1,800 testimonials nowadays of all kinds, video, all that. So back then I had a one-page guarantee, and I ran with that for almost a decade. And frankly, it was just a written guarantee saying that, we're going to help you with your insurance. And if you don't, like what happens or something goes wrong, we guarantee that we're going to make it right. And if you don't like it, then we're going to cancel your policy and you're going to get all the money back that's due you.
Okay.
It was really that simple. But the thing was, Wes, nobody else was doing that. They had never seen anything like it. They're going, who is this guy? So today we have actually a 4-page guarantee. That's page 1, page 2, page 3 with live references. These are people that will take your call or inquiry without any, previous arrangement. You can call them on the blue. I'll just say, hey, if you really have any questions, you call these people out of the blue. They'll talk to you about their experience with our agency. And then I have 12 questions you should ask everybody. And the thing about our guarantee, it's signed, it's live by everybody on our team. So, we just guarantee that whatever happens in our relationship, we back it up and write.
Right. Very cool. And, it's so funny. It's like in one way it's radical, right? Another way it's like, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
People willing to get off the backside and do something about it.
Right. And that's why I always tell people, start with one page. Like when I started the 7 Deadly Sins of Selling, it was a couple of pages, and, then it grew to 33 pages. Then it turned into a CD. But you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Right? And especially if nobody else has that, that's a clue you should probably do it.
Right.
So what did your dad think about all this, right? Is he looking at you like, my crazy son, I really screwed up raising him. Oh, my gosh.
So here's the story. So the business started growing, and we were best friends until the day that his day came. But, we were best friends. We were talking. He goes, how are you growing the business like that? I said, Dad, it's marketing. He goes, I want to see some of it sometime. So I showed it to him. And
were y'all like both in Southern Cal or like close?
Yeah, we're within 15, 20 miles of each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he goes, and I showed it to him. He goes, that stuff's not going to work. I said, all right. So about 2 or 3 months later, I had some appointments down near where his office was. And one afternoon, I popped in out of the blue unexpectedly. And I said, hey, how you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I looked back on one of the back desks. What do you think was sitting there?
What, some of your material?
Some of the marketing material that I had showed him. I said, I thought you said that stuff wasn't going to work. And he goes, well, I was thinking about how fast you're growing and the business and stuff, and I figured I have to at least try it.
Well, that's cool.
That is cool, yeah.
So was he implementing it? Did he start to implement it?
He started to implement it, and then he got sick. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, though. So he warmed up to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, when did you start with the whole jacket and prescriptions? I mean, how long have you been the insurance doctor?
That happened, I'm going to say about 8 years after that point in time.
Oh, okay. But still a good 15, 20 years. Right?
Yeah, it's probably
15 years?
I'm going to say about 8 years ago.
Okay.
Roughly.
Cool.
From today.
Right.
So, I continue to learn, and, I'm a big fan of the best out there in the world. Some are here and some are already gone, like Jim Rohn.
Yep.
Jim Rohn said, if you want to have more, you have to become more.
Yep.
And we attract exactly what we are.
Yep.
So my belief is I continue to study. I continue to invest in people who are the best of the best to learn more. I'm currently in a very high level, study program, with some of the best out there. It's awesome stuff. So,
right.
I follow your stuff and many others. So at that point in time, I was at a marketing conference in Florida, sitting there listening to, all of these marketers and their ideas and so forth and so on. And somebody said, hey, during one of the breaks, there's a professional photographer here. We're going to be taking some pictures. If you want to take some pictures impromptu, we've got various things that we can do. And I went out there in the hall to take some pictures, and there was a guy, he had doctor's jackets. And I'm looking at that, and there's guys in straitjackets and, magicians, all kinds of other crazy stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, wow, an insurance stock. Interesting. So I had him take my photo, various things. I got the photos. I bought them from that, time, and I brought them back, and I started, dinking and danking and testing as marketers we do and doing all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, the insurance stock was born.
Nice.
And we just continue to grow it, continue to do different things. And, people love it. People love to have fun. They love to laugh. They love to smile. And they love it when you're different.
Right.
You're kind of attached to them. So,
yeah.
Our largest client has 2,500 employees. And we distribute a monthly newsletter. We've been distributing a monthly newsletter since 1999.
Physical or
physical also, yeah.
Printed or okay.
Printed and electronic.
Right.
So, I go over to their office from time to time, and the CFO is who we deal with, and he goes, "Hey, Doc, what's up?"
That's awesome.
You've separated yourself.
Right. Now, how much are you in your business versus working on your business?
Well, I love the 80-20 rule.
Okay.
As a thought process. So I do my very best to spend at least 20% of my time out of my business working on it.
Okay.
And, the reason I go back and forth is I still love to, connect with people, connect with clients. I work a lot with the larger clients and that kind of stuff, and I've got a really good team. So I'm the leader of the team. I love that. So I'm going to say 80-20, 70-30.
Okay. Which is, honestly, it's a little bit of a surprise to me because a lot of people I talk with, they're constantly trying to get out of their own business. But it seems like you're still a little more hands-on. So do you have others that help with the marketing that you've maybe outsourced a little bit to and maybe supervise a little more of that so you can stay in the business?
Well, a lot of the work that I do, if you want to call it in the business, is leadership. I do a lot of written communication to people on the team, keep them motivated, keep them dialed in, keep them paying attention to the numbers. And I do work with some large accounts still. In addition to that, we've got another program, another business that we've developed because some people came to me a few years ago and they said, hey, you've created this massive success. Can you tell us how you did it? I said, what do you want to know? Right. They said, we want to know all of it. How'd you do it? And I said, well, this is how I did it. So I started teaching people, and all of a sudden it's like, aha, there's another opportunity here. So we also have a consulting and coaching program, and I do speaking, all around the country. So the thing that separates us in that particular realm is, we're not only somebody who's been there and done that, We're somebody who's been there, done that, and is still doing it. And there's not too many of those left out there. So I've got my hands in it day to day, and I intentionally keep them there so I can bring the best of the best to everybody else out there on what's current.
Gotcha. Now, is your speaking and coaching just for insurance agents, or is it for entrepreneurs in general?
The majority, our target market is the independent insurance agency channel, but we've got other entrepreneurs in the program as well because, business principles are business principles.
Right. Exactly.
It's really that simple.
So you're not afraid to teach all your secrets and somebody comes in and just kicks you right out of business because they learned everything you know?
No, not one bit. Because, I was one of the people when I started listening to people who know more than I do back in the 90s. I was at an event and he was the speaker, and he was from Riverside, California, kind of our geographic area. Yeah. And I ran up to him afterwards and I said, "Hey, John, that was awesome. I learned so much from what you shared. Thank you so much. And I just want to let you know, I deal in contractors insurance." He was a contractors insurance expert at the time. I said, "But I'm never going to, I'll never compete with you." He goes, "What's your name?" He was a short Italian guy, cigar chomping contractors insurance agent. Great guy. And he said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's Mike." He goes, "Let me tell you something. There's so much business out there. You and I could, compete all day long, every day, and we're probably never going to run into each other." Mm-hmm. And I've never forgotten that because you know what? I found it to be true.
Yeah.
There is so much opportunity out there. We only have a short time here.
Right.
We've got to take, maximum advantage of it. I learned on my training this morning because, this day of the week's my training day for this program that I'm studying. They classify it as life and death. Right. I mean, it really is that short if you think about it. So you've got to put it out there. You've got to, take massive action all of the time and not worry about that stuff. I learned from, one of my greatest mentors, Earl Nightingale. He said, "Worry brings fear and fear is crippling." So just eliminate that from your thought process and just go take action. Yeah.
I love it. That's what I tell people. I am great at pulling the trigger and riding the bullet,
Right.
And so maybe I should have planned a little bit more, but you know what? I'm going to say you can't steer a parked car, right? I mean,
yeah. And, I learned from an extremely wealthy guy 9-10 years ago. I remember being at his event and he said something I'll never forget. He was talking about how bad things went in a certain point in time. Lost a company, things went totally bad. He said, "But when things go wrong, I want you to think about it like this. Did anybody die? No. Okay. Then we can recover." and you know what? I've never forgotten about that. Yeah, things are going to go wrong. It's inevitable. But, hey, if we're still alive to take the next step, to take another breath, to take action again, anything is possible.
All right, so let me ask you something. You got this money back guarantee, so I'm sure some people take you up on it, and some people probably had a very bad day and even got mad at you and said bad things. I just had a guy yesterday give me a 1-star review on Yelp, right. And it makes me so mad. I mean, how do you handle that?
Well, my belief is that the attitude of gratitude always wins. And the core belief of our insurance agency business is do unto others. Mm-hmm. So I teach and I encourage my team to have those two thought processes at the forefront of your mind all the time. And when things go wrong, you also have to identify when people are upset, they're normally upset at the situation, not necessarily you as a person. Mm-hmm. They're mad at the result of something happening. So I say, look, just do unto others, treat them like you'd want to be treated in the same situation. Just be grateful for everything that did happen. Let them know that, and just try to help the situation the best that you can. We're big into scripting and everything we do. I've got scripts on my wall right here. It says 10 phrases that make our customers feel the love when things go wrong. So, I'll look at that and, try to pick one of those out to alleviate the situation. But, it's back to the 80-20 rule. And I believe the 80-20 rule is always in effect, the Pareto principle. Sometimes you can't make people happy at all. So you just got to kind of move on. But I think the other thing that's important, like in the situation that you just mentioned, you got to respond to them.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it hanging out there.
Right.
put something up and say, hey, I'm sorry this happened, or, now that we're in this position, what can I do to make it better, or something, right?
Yeah.
Don't just leave it hanging.
What's your take on social media? Because people are quite in love with it, or at least enthralled with it. I honestly don't know too many people making a whole lot of money on it. How do you know when to enter a market or when to leverage a new technology to try to grow your business versus running with what you've got?
Well, another philosophy that I've developed over the last 28 years is what I affectionately call 100% of the marketplace. So let me ask you a question, Wes. Excuse me. If you had 500 people that you needed to reach with an urgent message, this is urgent, so important that they've got to read it and understand it, all right? And you've got multiple ways to reach them. You got phone, you've got email, you've got snail mail. In the old days, we had fax. Those were the core four. But nowadays, we've got social media, we've got video email, we have texting all built in. So out of all of those choices, which one are you going to use to reach all 500 of those people?
Man, well, you mentioned texting. If I had their cell phones, I would.
If they had one.
Yeah. If I had their cell phones, I would text them. But you're right, may not have it. I would probably FedEx them or priority mail to make them get it.
Right. And the fun answer is, all
the above, right?
All of them. Exactly. So back to your question about social media. I think social media has a play in today's business world and personal world, depending on which type of social media you want to use to connect with people.
Right.
I'm currently in not a real deep study, but I've been paying close attention to generational people. So like baby boomers, Generation X, we've got Gen Y, we've got the millennials. And in my humble opinion, entrepreneurs, if you're not paying attention to the differences in all those segments of society, so to speak, and understanding how they want to be communicated with, you're going to get left behind.
Right.
So I feel that, knowing about social media, having a finger in it or a hand in it all the time is important due to that to begin with.
Right.
Number two, you're building a foundational prowess by using it. And I also agree with you. My experience has been it's not a place to earn a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind that the only people that make money work in the mint. The rest of us have to earn it. Right? So, it's okay to play in it, but we've had some wins there, but I would not make my entire marketing investment for my business based on social media, because I don't think you're going to get very far with it. And I believe, for instance, like Facebook, that's more like a personal playground, if you will. People are there talking about personal stuff. LinkedIn is kind of a business playground, if you will. There's Instagram, there's Yelp, there's lots of others out there. So it just depends on, what your industry is as to how it's going to, contribute to your business or your ability to communicate with anybody.
Right. Oh, but Mike, you're in some old stodgy insurance industry. What do you know? This is the new thing. Get with the program. I mean, what do you say to those local yokels?
Well, you're certainly entitled to what you think, and I wish you all the best. And what I'd love to do is I'd love to connect in about 6 months, and we'll talk about how things are going.
So what does work for you now? Is it still, traditional? Network. Put your face out there, Chamber of Commerce, B&I type things, networking things. You mentioned you got a lot of testimonials. So, is it still, the old school, traditional, just be visible?
All of it.
Okay.
It really is. We still snail mail a fair amount.
Now, is that for prospecting or just to stay in touch with clients?
Both.
Okay.
Both, depending on the marketplace.
Right.
Okay. We'll take restaurateurs as an example, because I grew up in the restaurant industry, so I have, quote, an affinity to that industry. I can tell stories about
Sure.
me making pizzas next to the teenage girls back in the old days in the 70s.
Right.
So I understand Ansel systems, why we have to clean the hoods and all that kind of stuff. And I can walk the walk and talk the talk. So I know that restaurateurs like to be contacted on Monday because that's when they're doing their reconciliation for the weekend take.
Right.
All right. And they still like to be contacted via snail mail.
Okay.
Now, the thing with them, however, with regard to snail mail is they're constantly being bombarded.
Right.
Because they're in the restaurant business and everybody sees them.
Right.
So you have to use at a minimum lumpy mail, and it takes at least 7 follow-ups.
Wow.
That I can tell you.
7 follow-ups, 7 pieces of mail, or 1 mail, 1 phone call, 1 mail? I mean,
you got to intermix it. I would do 4 different ways. Start with the lumpy mail, follow up with the call, send them an email, follow up with the text, and then whatever you feel the marketplace holds after that.
Oh, man. I thought you were like this great marketer, had like a 1-call close. We're going to have to end this conversation. I may have to delete this thing, man.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. We got to spend time together today. And, that's all I got.
That's all. I mean, that's what I tell people, man. You got multi-step multimedia, right?
All of the time. And what you really need is you got to have a system. Yep. That's the key. You have to have a system behind all of that works when you're sleeping.
Oh, but Mike, here we go again. Your old school industry, stodgy industry. Everybody knows direct mail doesn't work, and the percentages are so low. Why are you wasting your time and money on that?
Well, let me give you another tip if you want to do some marketplace research, because that's where all the money is. I apologize. That's a 4-letter word. The work, I know. Jeez. I bring that up, and I get the same response here in the office. I talk about more work, and I get the looks on the faces of my teammates. Just kidding. They're all gone, by the way, because we have a hiring system that makes sure they don't get in the door in the first place.
Yeah, good.
So anyway, but you have to do the work to do the marketplace research. So remember we did the story about the 500 people with the urgent message?
Right.
When I first learned that from somebody else who knew more than I did, back to the theory, I started doing my own marketplace research with my own family. We have a large family. And so I went to all my family members and I started talking to them. I say, hey, and I figured out what their passion is. Like our oldest son's a high school football coach, and his passion is coaching high school football. And I said, and I've got a story about him, probably too long for today, but I said, if somebody wanted to reach you with a marketing piece about high school football, how should they communicate with you? I'd ask him, and I asked one of our other kids, and my mom, and my aunts and uncles, and all this kind of stuff. And after a while, I had enough data to determine that, wow, every one of them is different. And every one of them like to be communicated with in a different way.
Right.
And that's when the light bulb went on, and I said, aha, 100% of the marketplace and 100% of the ways.
Right.
So that's all I got, and that's been my history. We've gone from 0 to a very respectable 7-figure plus business, and I can prove it. So.
Very nice. Ain't just talking to talk. I always tell people you can't eat likes and shares, can you? And
no, you cannot.
And you can't buy Huggies at Walmart,
Nope.
with retweets.
Nope.
Although I guess you could get some sponsored posts and whatnot. But anyway, I digress.
Hey, depends on the time of day.
That's it. Well, this has been fantastic, Mike. I appreciate you sharing your words of wisdom. You've got a couple of websites, right? Where should we send people?
Well, to keep it simple, and I think simple is best because I believe in the power of 3. And let me give anybody that might be listening, watching, whatever, this tip that I always share with everybody, because I do a couple of live webinars a month and this kind of stuff. But this is one of the things at the very end of every webinar. It's very simple, and I encourage people to write this down. It's 3 times 5 times 50 equals 750.
Okay.
And the simplicity of that is, I love the power of 3 because it's not too much. If you do 3 new things every single day, they don't have to be big things, but they may be part of a program. Okay. So you do 3 new things every single day times 5 days a week. You get 2 days a week off. Times 50 weeks a year, you get a couple weeks of vacation. In the first 12 months, you've done 750 new things to contribute to your business or your systems or whatever in just the first 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
That will get you started, because something's going to happen. It's either going to be a win or it's going to be a failure, which in my world is only a lesson.
Right.
Okay, because nobody died.
Yep.
So to keep it simple, SIAonline.com. SIA, Stromsoe Insurance Agency, SIAonline.com. You can go check us out there on the left-hand column. There's a bunch of gray tabs. You can click on any one of those. I recommend people go down to agency news and then click on the appropriate years. And just click on the years and scroll down. You're going to get tons of ideas. You're going to see things that we're doing in our community, because we have found that the attitude of gratitude always wins, and the law of reciprocity is always in effect. So we do everything we can to give back to our communities at every opportunity, because then we'll come back to you sooner or later. So check out SIAonline.com. And, kind of our fun page for the insurance doc is myinsurancedoc.com. That's myinsurancedoc.com. So you can check that out. I got a recent video that's there, and I update that as often as I can and need to, just to bring people into our funnel. So it's a lot of fun. Life is awesome. I can't wait to get out of bed every day. And but the biggest thing, Wes, is you've got to have a system there that works when you don't, because the real magic is when things start to happen when you're not expecting it. Sooner or later, there's a book out there by Malcolm Gladwell, kind of an older read, called The Tipping Point. Yep. Same author of Outliers and many other good works. But, I remember studying that. And when you do, and take action, things are going to start to happen. And you're going to get to the tipping point, and all of a sudden you're going to get over the top, and you won't be able to stop it. Yeah. And that's the wonderful place that we're in nowadays. I mean, my list of things to do is longer than it should be every single day. Right. But it's all opportunity. Right. And I can't keep up with it. So, good place to be.
That's awesome. Yep. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, and I'll have the links on all this in the show notes. So if you're driving or running on the treadmill, which I feel sorry for you if you're doing that, then you can just visit. I'll have all the links so you can get back to it when you get back to your desk. So, Mike, Thank you, sir. It's been awesome.
My pleasure, buddy.
And I look forward to catching up with you again one day soon. And have a great day in this rainy Southern California. What's going on, huh?
Thanks for all you do, Wes.
Thank you, Mike. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hey, apologies again for the audio there, but I did want to get this content out. I will have to have Mike back on. We can redo this and dive in a little bit deeper, because he really is a super smart marketer. The things he has done to separate himself from the pack to build a thriving business, in an industry like we talked about. I mean, insurance doesn't have the best reputation, but we all need it, right? And when you have somebody good, we like to pick on car salesmen and attorneys, insurance agents, but when you find a great one, they're great. I mean, a good friend of mine, Kevin McGuire, is a great attorney. He's a friend. I work with him. I know him personally. Love having him on my team. I met David Townsend when I bought my BMW here in Murrieta. He is not a cheesy used car salesman. I mean, he is a true professional. So you can set yourself apart in any industry, as these guys have, and as Mike pointed out. So go back and listen to this. I know that audio isn't perfect, but he talks about, paying attention to generational indicators. He talked about scripting. Okay, make sure you've got scripts. Make sure you internalize them and master them. Really dig into offering that guarantee. That is so important. I didn't even know that about him, so I've really been looking at that, because I had this interview with him. I'm usually a month or more ahead on interviews, so I've been able to dig in a little bit into that. I mean, super powerful. So, but notice too, he looked outside of his industry. Okay, Henry Ford looked outside of his industry to get inspired for the assembly line. He looked at a meat packing plant or a slaughterhouse, right? We've heard about the the Gutenberg press. He looked at wine presses and metal stamping. So study others outside of your industry to truly get inspired, to find breakthroughs that your competition doesn't see because everybody's studying the same stuff. So lots of good information to help you grow your business in this podcast. Show feedback and guest suggestions are always welcome. Let me know what topics you'd like me to cover and any cool guys or gals you'd like me to interview. You can hit me up at wes@thesaleswhisperer.com. And if you want some affordable, live, interactive help from me and my team twice a month, check out marketingautomationnetwork.com. Even if you don't have an email or a CRM tool running yet, there's no other place on earth where you can get direct access to my team and me to answer your questions and record the answers and give you access to those sessions. You'll get access to the entire archive of sessions going back several years. So head on over to marketingautomationnetwork.com and sign up now. Remember to subscribe to the show, write me a review in iTunes, and I will love you long time. And please tell your friends, all right? The best compliment you can give is to share your feedback with a review and telling your friends about the show. And as always, remember to sell different.